The lake had always been a place of legend. As kids, we'd heard tales of disappearances, shadowy figures, and unexplained noises. But we were adults now, college seniors, to be exact, and no longer believed in ghost stories. Or so we told ourselves. It was a warm autumn weekend when we decided to camp at Whispering Lake. 5 of us: Jason, the self-proclaimed outdoorsman; Lily, always up for an adventure; Marcus, our group's comedian; Erin, quiet, but with a sharp mind; and me, the reluctant planner who organized the trip. The lake shimmered under the fading sunlight as we arrived, surrounded by a dense forest of towering pines and ancient oaks. It felt isolated, perfect for a getaway. The first day was idyllic. We pitched our tents near the water, roasted marshmallows, and laughed late into the evening. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Jason suggested we try night fishing. Armed with flashlights and rods, we stood at the edge of the lake, the cool water licking at our ankles. That's when we first heard it, a faint rustling in the woods. "Probably just a raccoon," Marcus said, waving it off. The rest of us laughed nervously, but Erin stayed silent, her eyes scanning the tree line. The noise stopped as abruptly as it had started, leaving behind an unsettling silence. We brushed it off and returned to camp, our laughter more subdued. The second day brought more adventures. We swam in the lake, fished, and even ventured into the forest to gather firewood. But by evening, the mood had shifted. As the sun set, the forest seemed to come alive with noises, branches snapping, leaves crunching, faint whispers carried on the wind. That night, as we sat around the campfire, Lily leaned closer to me. "Do you feel like we're being watched?" she whispered. I laughed it off, but her words stayed with me. The shadows beyond the firelight seemed deeper, darker, almost alive. Around midnight, we retreated to our tents. The others fell asleep quickly. But I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The wind had died down, leaving the night eerily quiet. Then I heard it, a low, guttural sound, like a growl, followed by soft footsteps circling the camp. I froze, straining my ears. The footsteps stopped near Jason's tent. The fabric rustled as if someone or something was brushing against it. I wanted to call out, but fear rooted me in place. Eventually the sounds faded, and exhaustion pulled me into a restless sleep. The next morning, Jason was pale and jumpy. "I swear someone was outside my tent last night," he said as we gathered for breakfast. "I heard breathing like it was right there." "Probably just your imagination," Marcus said, though he didn't sound convinced. None of us admitted it, but we were all on edge. The day passed uneventfully, but the oppressive feeling of being watched never left. As night fell, we decided to stay close to the fire. That's when we saw him. He appeared at the edge of the forest, a tall, impossibly thin figure silhouetted against the moonlight. His limbs were too long, his movements jerky and unnatural. He stood there for what felt like an eternity, watching us. No one said a word, too paralyzed by fear. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, he slipped back into the darkness. "Did everyone see that?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling. We nodded. No one slept that night. Every sound, the snap of a twig, the rustle of leaves, sent us into a panic. By the 4th night, we were ready to leave, but it was too dark to pack up safely, so we agreed to wait until morning. That was our mistake. Sometime after midnight, I woke to Lily's screams. Stumbling out of my tent, I saw her being dragged toward the forest by the tall figure. His skeletal hands gripped her arms, and despite her struggles, she couldn't break free. "Help me!" she screamed, her voice piercing the night. We ran after her, but the figure was fast, vanishing into the woods with Lily. We searched for hours, calling her name, but there was no sign of her. By dawn, we were forced to admit defeat. We packed up in silence, the weight of her absence crushing us. The police searched the area for weeks, but found nothing. No footprints, no signs of struggle, just the whispers of the forest and the eerie calm of the lake. It's been years since that trip. None of us have spoken about it since. But sometimes, late at night, I hear whispers outside my window, soft and insistent. And when I close my eyes, I see him, the tall, skinny man with his hollow eyes and crooked grin. And I know Lily is still out there somewhere.